Welcome to the Conscious Current for June 2026. So the overarching theme of this month that I have been mapping in the collective is it's time to act. It is time for the leap of faith. It is time to take aligned, empowered action towards what we want to experience in life. And we've spent enough time feeling, we've spent enough time checking all of the details, crossing the T's, dotting the I's. Now you know the direction, you know your truth, and you have to have the courage to actually take those actions. So May was more a month of feeling, allowing, being in a cocoon, allowing old parts to die, listening to the feelings, and June is the rise of action, the rise of empowered action, the rise of stepping into. It is a point of no return in terms of you can no longer act in the old ways, and you are now clear in the action of the new way. And there's a few themes that sit underneath this. And the first one is the ego death, the freedom from no escape. Learning how to truly be free and actually in lifetime going through a real ego death so that you can calibrate to the heart. And within this, we have a lot of choices that we are making moment to moment, closing old feedback loops, really checking those old feedback loops that are keeping us in the ego construct, which is just the version of ourselves that doesn't feel safe, right? That doesn't trust, that is in fear. So this part is being closed off. Everything from the old reality that is no longer resonant, you are closing the loops, shutting it down, ending the business, ending the relationship, shutting down everything that you used to do that is from that old ego, that old self, that old identity, so that you could create space and have a blank slate to take empowered action towards the new. And now you have more clarity around that path. You are step by step actually choosing your way into that new reality. So we're really in this point of closing, making decisions, and taking the action that is needed to be taken in order to be on this path. So this is the first point. The second point that we are going to go into is the rise of the divine feminine and the divine masculine, a return to really truly honoring both in life, inside of us and outside of us and in our world, and the rise of the worth of both. So what is the value of the masculine? What is the traditional role internally and externally, and not societally traditional, but what is the original essence of the masculine and what is the original essence of the feminine? And this rise of the masculine will create the container and the safety for the feminine to come to life. And this brings us into phase 3, and it's not going to come in this order. These are just the themes that I'm mapping, which is a return to, when you have this container that is safe and this structure that we are building our foundations on, which is very masculine, Shakti can come to life through this container. So there's a return to innocence, a coming to life, a return to joy and pleasure in a very pure way. So there's a purity and a fire that wants to rise through this. Something that I downloaded this month when I was in a water blessing actually with my manku here. So I was sitting into, what am I sitting in right now? What is the truth of my experience right now? And what are we sitting in as a collective? And the guidance that I was given was to have love in your eyes, peace in your heart, and fire in your belly. And I was just feeling like this, these layers, seeing through the eyes of love, seeing through the eyes of God, having peace in my center so that I can act from a place of peace, alignment, groundedness, centeredness, and having this fire to come to life, this fire to create from. And I really feel that is the guidance that I would give for this month, is to tune into seeing through the eyes of love as the old fears continue to arise, and the echoes of the old you, the fears and the disbelief and the discouragement, as they rise up, you see them with eyes of compassion and love, and you choose to walk in a direction, in a visualization, in an imagination, in a connection to what love is, in a feeling connection to what love actually is, as you act, as you walk, as you step. And having this peace in your nervous system, in the center, peace in the heart, where we're letting go of the war, we're letting go of the fight. We are learning how to move with peace in our center, not move from reaction, not move from a place of fear, not move from a place of proving. We're just having a peace in who we are, a peace in where we're at, and a really a letting go of a need to be perfect as well. Not holding ourselves to some unrealistic standards. Is the full acceptance and love for who we are and where we're at this point, in this checkpoint in time. And from this peaceful center, we can have the fire rise from our belly to create something new. This is the phoenix rising from the ashes. And I keep getting shown with this feminine and masculine theme of like the rise of the feminine and the masculine, because, you know, a lot of people are calling this time the rise of the feminine. But actually, in order for the feminine to rise, the divine masculine also has to rise inside of us at the same time. These cannot be separated from each other. It's not now that we're just going to go into a female-led society. It's that we're actually going to give a chance for the feminine to be born through having the solid foundation, the structure, the safety, the containment for this energy to come to life through. So really having this fire coming up as a phoenix rising through us, there's this huge propulsion towards the new. There's this huge energy that is moving us forward. And it's the desire to create, it's the desire for something new, it's the desire to give birth to. It is a huge passion for love. And as our ego constructs are dying, which can feel very horrific, by the way, if you're in an ego death right now, just stay the course and stay calibrating to love, because these two things can coexist at the same time, where you're feeling the fire of the new, whereas like what happens when you go from ashes to ashes, dust to dust, when all of the old dies, the phoenix rises from this fire, right? The dragon, this serpent, kundalini energy starts to rise only when we've given ourselves enough time to die. And sometimes we're watching the ego die at the same time we're watching the heart being born and the fire starting to rise. So it's almost like, you know, to see through the eyes of love, we have to allow this ego construct to really die and dissolve. And in order to allow that, we have to be present to the old feedback loops that are playing and to not follow them. And as we don't follow them, they don't have space anymore to take charge. We then have space to take aligned action. And that action gives birth to love. When we start to listen to our feelings, which is what we've been doing for the last months, we start to then rise in the trust, in the center, in the peace, in the heart that we are listening. We start to calibrate back home to there is nothing but the present moment. And this gives space for love to be born. So the ego is dying at the same time, which feels horrific because, you know, it is a death. All of the old versions of you are really dying as you choose not to follow those old feedback loops and those old threads. And then as we take the action to make new decisions moving forward. So like I said, you're letting go of that relationship. You are burning the bridges, you are quitting the job, you are moving country, you are moving home, whatever it is, there's big decisions to be made. As you bite the bullet and as you take that leap of faith, an old version of you has to die at the same time. So we have this like two things happening at once where you're very uncomfortable because you're taking a lot of risk. We'll say it's calculated risk. And we're at a point now where the cost of staying in the old reality is too much to bear. The cross and the cost is too much to bear. So we're learning how to really trust that none of this feels good, so I have to move forward. And that moving forward will allow the path to light up in front of me. That moving forward allows me to calibrate into my feelings, to trust that I am listening to myself. And as we take those actions, the old parts are still crumbling away. The ego is dissolving, and the ability to vision and to see through the eyes of God, through the eyes of love, starts to come online. So these are things that are happening at the same time. And if you imagine we have this mind matrix that we're breaking free of, when I say like true freedom is no escape, this is learning that we are truly free from escaping. We are no longer trying to escape. We are now taking action to fully be with. This is what freedom of the mind matrix is. You get out of the unconscious programs that are running you. You get out of this grid of the mind that is directing your life, and you allow the heart field to come online. You allow the neural network of the heart energy to have more space to breathe and to come to life. And you're also in this time creating space for the hardwiring of the body to be listened to. So the body has the wisdom of the physical realm. You know, we had in last month's theme, we had like a deeper listening to the nervous system, to what's good for your well-being. We're going to continue that into June and obviously for the rest of our lives, but we're getting into the calibration of it on a deeper level. That you really listen to the body in terms of your well-being, so that your nervous system is hardwired towards your truth and not towards soothing, escape, survival mechanisms, coping mechanisms, addiction. You can be hardwired for addiction versus hardwired for freedom. So really paying attention to what the body is calling for, and on a truth level taking care of that versus the escape mechanisms that we might use to or be used to following or consuming. So we're paying attention to these three layers. The mind matrix is we're breaking free of that through our consciousness, becoming aware. then that creates space for the heart to come online, for this heart wiring to have more neural networks and to expand, and for you to listen and breathe into and feel into the embodiment of being here, which is all centers, all parts of you coming on board. And this is a month where all parts of you are involved in your decisions. When I talk about like the choice point that we're at and the decisions that we're making, it's not just one part of you making a decision. It's no longer the mind ruling, the fears ruling, the logic ruling. That's a backseat actually. It's the feelings are coming online. The inner child is involved. Your feminine and your masculine are here. Your adult, your higher self, your soul. All parts of you, no parts are rejected. All parts are listened to so that you can make decisions from this alignment, this sacred center that you're drawing from, that includes the base fire, the passion, the desire for life, that includes the hard wiring of the body, that is deeply listening to the needs of the body and also to the programming that might be going on in the hard wiring, to listen to the heart wiring, to break free of the constructs of the mind. So this is freedom from no escape. You're no longer escaping. You are truly taking aligned action to be with whatever is fully and to accept it. And as you accept all of the uncomfortable parts, all of the annoying mental programs that are still playing, as you give them space, airtime, and as you calibrate back to the center, you really start to create a deep sense of listening and a deep sense of peace so that you can act from a clearer space. So this ego is dying, dissolving, and this is freedom. This is what freedom actually is. So then you are free to create from more aligned position. And that involves taking the same actions that are going to collapse the realities that were born from the ego constructs. So what was born from fear, what was born from proving, what was born from lack, you name it, there will be a million different ways that we've already created from the old paradigm. And that will be big decisions like selling a business or, moving house or changing a relationship or going to college or going back to school or, whatever it is. That's not, I say that as an example, that's likely not going to be one of the things because we're getting into a place of sovereignty. We're not trying to stuff ourselves full of more knowledge, but it could be like some more practical school. It could be like immersing yourself in something that is much more about embodiment and much more experiential, so that you can truly come to life through something versus just download or get more information. And yeah, this whole setup is creating space for the honoring of the masculine and the feminine parts because both parts are being listened to. So you're no longer being driven by old forceful energies. You are now able to move forward from a carefully felt space, take aligned action to allow those old constructs to die. And as you act, it's like you're breaking through this force field of the old. There's a clarity coming and there's a real beauty in this. At the same time, there's a horrific death depending on how loud your mind is and how loud the fears are. There's this death happening as you break through the mask of the old and you start to get a glimpse of the new and you start to get a glimpse of who you really are. And in this time, there can be a lot of spontaneous awakenings, a lot of remembrances around the truth of who you are, where you come from and why you are here, mission focused things. As you create that space to feel, to be present, to listen into, to take your time to make those decisions, the path becomes clearer and you become clearer. So you're kind of like washing the windows as you move. And as you take action, you're letting go of the need to be perfect or to make the perfect decision or to take the perfect action. You're being okay to learn as you go. You're being okay to fumble. You're being okay to mess up your words. You're being okay to make mistakes. And you're just truly giving yourself permission to no matter what, show up, because you cannot tolerate the old anymore. And the new has a lot more space. So this is a time where it will feel a little bit like, again, there's two versions of you existing, but the new version is stronger. The new version is calling you on a deeper level. There is much less fear. There's much more love being born in this moment. And that's where the beauty comes in. That's where the magic comes in. When you are really aligned through taking actions from love, you start to then relax. You start to feel good. You start to feel the humility come back into the heart, the humbleness, the softness, the wisdom, the wide energy, the width of your energy. You become wider energetically. And in order to account for all parts of us, to make sure we're listening to all parts of us, we have to be wide energetically. You become wider than the fear. You become wider than the perceived problems. You become wider and bigger than your trust comes online. your trust becomes bigger than the fear of failing, and you let go of the chasing, and you make the decision that is in alignment with your well-being. Even if you don't know where it's specifically going to take you, you know that it's better than the current reality that you're living. So you know anything but this. And not only that, but you are also choosing your best timeline as you move forward. So this month specifically, there's going to be a need to return to the senses. You know, if we're having this ego death and we're calibrating to the heart and the body, and we're calibrating to a higher consciousness, there's a need to really be in nature, to calibrate the nervous system, to down-regulate and to feel at peace, to really get into being in touch with nature, like literally stop and smell the roses, take in the essence of life through your senses and start to be with and feel. So when our mind is busy, we really want to drop into the experience of the feeling in the body, of the sensation of the skin. And this is also like part of the return of the feminine, is like really being with the body, being with the senses, and allowing yourself to feel, like permission to really feel the pleasure of being in a body. And sometimes along with that comes the discomfort of being in a physical body. So we're going through this calibration of learning how to be with. This is the, like I said, the death of the ego is the freedom from no escape. You're no longer trying to escape. So you're not trying to escape the discomfort that's in the body. You're actually widening to hold it, to be with it, and to recalibrate from that place of I choose to stay. So it's like really never abandoning yourself. All parts of you are listened to, all parts of you are here. And it takes a lot of presence to allow that process to actually unfold within you. So really making sure in this time that you recognize we're moving from a place of, we were regulating from a place of like needing to slow down and rest. And now we're regulating so that we can act. So there's like a movement or a shift from regulation to rest and reset to I'm going to regulate my nervous system so that I'm actually able to take action. And this is a rise of the divine warrior, the warrior that will fight and that will stand up in what he or she truly cares about and truly will live and die for. And this is the foundation of that. We have to have a strong nervous system that is capable of being with it all, that is capable of facing challenge, and that is also capable of taking very aligned, decisive, clear action. So yeah, having this like sharp sword of truth and wielding it, and you know your truth now, are you going to act on it? So this is really about like the foundations to be able to act, and the nervous system that will allow us to act. And this return to pleasure and return to the feminine, because we're building structure, we're building safety in our own hands so that we can allow this feminine to rise. It's really going to bring back the play, the life, the life force, the pleasure, the engaging with these things from a healthy standpoint, the innocence of sexuality, the innocence of play, the innocence of pleasure, being in a body and being in a pleasurable experience. So actually enjoying, learning how to enjoy being in the body versus suffering of the mind that is in a body. And it's really like we actually, to live is not to suffer. This is like such a spiritual lie. It's to be in the mind and disconnected from the body. That is suffering. To be in the mind and not truly allow yourself permission to be in your full experience, this is a disconnect from source. When you reconnect back into the source of life that you are, and to this sacred center of nervous system and heart and love and hardwire in the body, geared towards pleasure but not escape. And this is a fine line, noticing the nuances between, because people will use that as an excuse to just be like, oh well, I'll just enjoy myself and be disconnected and not take responsibility and seek the pleasures that are soothing me or comforting me from the outside, versus actually the difference between that's avoidance versus like truly being in pleasure and enjoying taking responsibility, enjoying being connected to your creation, enjoying your interactions, not needing things from the outside to be a certain way, not desperately desiring something so that you escape here. It's truly landing into the pleasure of being here without needing anything. So you take responsibility for your own pleasure, for your own enjoyment in life. And know that this is a time where we're getting responsible. We are getting out of avoidance, out of escape mechanisms, fully into the responsibility for our choices. And we're learning how to make choices and close off feedback loops, close down old realities that are playing that no longer serve us, and really trusting, even though you don't fully know where it's leading you, that you can take those actions, that you are learning what it truly means to live and to breathe and to move from an aligned place. And this aligned place includes the well-being of all of your parts. So like I said, your inner child, your masculine and your feminine, like taking these parts with you. Your higher self is leading the show. Love is more online. The mind is in the back seat. It's a servant now. The consciousness is fully on. This framework that you're building is the freedom out of the matrix grid of the mind that was keeping you from making the decisions to break free of the golden cage that we've all built for ourselves to stay comfortable and safe in a reality that actually was never for our highest. So this is a time to truly align to your highest and come to life through your highest. Now, in order for the masculine and the feminine to start to work in harmony together, we really have to honor both sides of ourselves. We really have to honor the beauty of the feminine and also the brilliance of the masculine, the importance of both roles. And this is happening as we get away from material being the value exchange in a relationship or transaction, what I do for you and what you do for me. And this is the same for the inner space as it is for outer relationships. We're really coming back into really understand that we need both sides. We need the masculine to create the structure, to be responsible, to have alignment, to move from the heart, this divine warrior energy, to stand up in what we care for and to protect and to take care of the boundaries and to move in aligned action that allows the feminine space to breathe, the feminine space to come to life. So whatever structure and whatever actions that you're taking now, they have to consider the well-being of your feminine and the well-being of the inner child. So this masculine containment is coming around us, inside of us and outside of us. It will start to rise where we have the foundations of a healthy system that will allow the rise of the feminine. So this is not just a rise of the feminine era, it is a rise of the divine masculine to contain and hold space for the divine feminine to come to life. And I really start to notice for me in this time, I'm starting to see the divine masculine, whether that is just appearing inside of me, and as within, so without. I'm starting to see it in the field as well. I'm starting to see the men rising up, the men recognizing that they can't live in the old ways, that they're letting go of material being the number one thing, and they're also learning how to stand up more in love and lead from love and lead from a place of safety. And number one thing is to be okay to be challenged. If you are calibrating to your own divine masculine energy, am I truly okay to be challenged, or am I busy trying to hold on to control through my mind? Do I really have my consciousness on that is governing things? Am I boundaried? Am I really truly a safe space? Am I setting the direction for containers? Am I really holding space for my feminine to play, for my inner child to play, and for my feminine pleasure to come online and to come to life? Am I really holding that space for myself? As within, so without. The relationship will come as you calibrate to this. And this is a moment where we're starting to see the value of both. So it's not just that now the feminine are going to take over, it's that we see the worth of the feminine that is beyond material producing, and we see the worth of the masculine that they give everything for love. And to truly come back home to we do it for love and we're in it together for love. This is the centerpiece of the divine masculine and the divine feminine rising together. And this also creates the return to the innocence of the safety of the inner child to play, because now we have a safe container to truly relax into our authentic self, that there is also space for the inner child to play. And the inner child's no longer rebelling against a structure that it doesn't prefer. It's actually playing safely within the container that we set it to play. And we're welcoming back in that creativity. We're welcoming back in the imagination. And we really need our imagination online in order to be able to birth a new reality, because how can we birth something if we can't imagine it? So imagination is the first point where we're stretching into a new reality. And when we're in the dark, moving forward step by step, we really have to rely on our imagination to create the reality that we're walking into. So this is a time to really hold space for that imagination to come forward, to rise up and to come to life through this safe container of a balanced masculine and a balanced feminine, not either or, not one or the other, not against each other, in it together, union. So I see this opportunity for more balance to come in specifically now. And some examples of where we have allowed our inner child, to run the show and our inner child to come to life has been from a place mostly of rebelling against the system, kind of carefree and careless. And this also means like lacking responsibility. So the purpose of this containment of the inner child is actually that we're responsible, we're creating safety, and that it doesn't allow the energy of the inner child and the feminine to turn into chaos everywhere. It's like you become the order that can hold the chaos. And this is divine order and divine chaos coming into union to allow that creativity and that life to fully come forward, and for it to be safe and not a rebelling against. It is a responsibility for. And this is where it comes back to, okay, if I'm going to be responsible, what am I being responsible for? What do I care about? What do I hold in the center? What do I move forward with? With your clarity that's coming online in this time, what is it that I want to build? And sometimes we don't have a clear picture, but we have a feeling. It's not this, it's anything but that actually. And it is, I choose to be empty over that. I choose to actually stay with emptiness and stay in the void, which is the opposite of avoidance, right? When we're in the void, we just stay there. We stay there until the light comes on. So giving yourself permission, if you don't have a clear picture, to stay until that clear picture starts to glow. And then as that clear picture starts to glow, the first step arrives and you take that first step. So this is a time for you to really heal the broken trust within yourself that you are going to show up and you are going to take aligned action. You are going to step, you are going to walk, you are going to bring it to life through your every existence, through everything that you do. So in this no return, you need to become somebody who can hold all of this. So you are becoming stronger and more stable as you pause, as you stop, as you listen, as you feel, to actually be somebody who can hold this new reality, that you are holding the responsibility, you are holding all parts of you, you are listening to all parts of you, and you are learning to move as a whole being, as a one body. And this includes as a one body that operates as a larger body of consciousness, that is one drop in the ocean of awareness of the field of everything that exists. So you're learning how to move and live in harmony through being in harmony with all of your parts, in harmony with themselves, with each other. So this is like a microcosm of the macrocosm. So you are truly saying, I take care of my inner garden. I can hold it all. I can become wider in my bandwidth to be with it all, so that I can move in full responsibility for this unit, this individual, this I, not I, other, not other, this manifestation of God in a body, basically. That if everybody took responsibility for their piece and their part, we would have a lot more peace in our heart, a lot more love in our eyes, and a lot more fire in our belly to create the new. So we are really in the creation of the new right now, and learning how to do it in a new way. We're no longer moving from fear, from pain, from panic, from pressure. We're moving from purpose, from peace, from love, from beauty, from desire for something new. So this is a totally different paradigm, and we will still be experiencing a bit of a split where we're able to see the old, the echoes are still there, but we're learning how to close the loops. We're tying up loose ends. We're killing and cutting and collapsing the realities that do not allow the peace, the purpose, the pleasure, the creation from alignment to come to life. So we're really getting very clear about what is an alignment, what is my truth, and how do I move and act in accordance to that. This is what this month is all about. So there will be no more keeping one foot in the old reality. This is where there's no space for half commitment. You will feel the drag of keeping old realities open. So what does it look like to rise in your conscious masculine, in your divine masculine, in your structure, in your containment? It's really to look at in your life where you're maybe not making decisions around finances, around relationships. If you're saying that you don't accept toxic behavior, but you're staying in a toxic dynamic, you're not really truly moving in alignment with the truth of creating safety inside of yourself. So this is a time to really make the decisions on the things that you might normally avoid, whether that is financial decisions, decisions about people in your life, decisions about your work, whatever it is. You need to face those decisions, create the structure and the clarity, and set it into motion. Take the step, take the action, and give yourself enough space to do it one step at a time, because sometimes we get overwhelmed, especially when we're collapsing realities. We can have a lot going on at once. It's just to give yourself a lot of grace that you're really not moving from pressure to get it done. You were just moving from a place of alignment, taking care of things, being responsible. And this creates the beautiful structure and space for your inner feminine, whether you're male or female, to come to life through. And this will return space to play. This will return space to enjoy your life. This will return the desire, it will return the passion. Over time, it will return the love. As you take aligned action, you build the trust and the safety to know that you are safe in your own hands, in your own containment, that you are taking care of yourself, and there is space for all parts of you, that your inner feminine can then thrive. And then we see this beautiful balance of honoring both the masculine and the feminine, that they're unique in their frequencies and unique in their purpose, and that we need both, and we need both fully online to be functioning. So this is really getting into the mastery of that balance as we move, and really taking the time to close the old feedback loops so that we don't feel the drag, like we're trying to drag the old reality with us. We're no longer able to do that. It would just be too much inertia. It would feel too heavy. In fact, it won't be allowed, because you are so much more calibrated to your truth now. You know what alignment feels like, you know what disharmony feels like, and you will suffer if you try and stay with one foot in the old reality. You will really suffer if you try to stay there. So that will be the suffering of the misalignment and the suffering of the mind trying to hold on. Whereas if you choose to collapse it, you deal with the ripping off the bandage, the initial pain or the initial shock or the initial feeling. And you'll have to do that in your own pace. You know, some people like to take the bandage off really slowly, and some people are like let's just leap. And some people are like mid-splits, 1 foot still in the old, and then they're falling over to the new side and grabbing on and then climbing up. And we can make things difficult or hard for ourselves, but it's important that we just respect our capacity, and that we truly learn to build the safety and to build the bridge to the new reality in a way that feels good for us. You know, for me, I'm much more of a person that's willing to leap and deal with the fall later than stay in the old reality. I've experienced both, to be honest. I would say staying in an old reality that's misaligned is much more painful, and there's a lot more suffering involved than just dealing with the leaping off the cliff and dealing with the fear and the shock of the new and the unknown. This is much more quick. It's like a quantum shift into the new reality. So depending on your capacity, there's no right or wrong way. Just do what feels good and aligned for you specifically. And just a little note on the shift from, you know, our worth becoming like less about material. It's like as we get out of survival, as we become more sovereign as individuals, you know, in the feminine and in the masculine, we start to realize that, you know, we've taken care of our own stability, our own structure, our own safety, that a relationship needs to make sense in terms of there needs to be a love there. There cannot be this power dynamics or control dynamics. There's no need for them anymore. So the female's job in this time is to truly hold her worth, to not follow the old behaviors of losing her power to the masculine, allowing the masculine to control through money. This won't be needed anymore, because the feminine has built this structure and this stability to actually not accept something that doesn't feel good, not accept shadows, not accept misalignment, not accept something from a place of lack or fear, of that lack of self-worth. And this allows space for love to blossom. And it's the same for the masculine. They stop, giving from a place of control, and they start to give from a place of trust. They start to give from a place of alignment, and they stop taking responsibility for the feminine. They trust in her, they honor her, they worship her in her power, just as the woman worships the man and bows to the masculine in his power. And from that space, we can come back together as more whole beings, so that we don't have entanglements on a value level where we're feeling like we're trying to climb a ladder socially, or we're trying to energetically become safe through the other person. We're actually learning how to move from a place of love and to not allow anything else to interfere with love, to truly give love a chance. So this is the foundations that we're building right now. It's going to create a foundation and a space that will actually give love a chance to be born. As we birth it inside of ourselves, it will arrive on the outside. So know that the work that you're doing on yourself, to really listen to your heart field, to really choose what is in alignment, to become safe in your own hands, to take responsibility for whatever you're responsible for, to really start to show up and to move from that aligned place, you are going to naturally attract the life partner, if you so want one, and the friends and the people around you that really reflect that version of you to you, that really can give to you in reciprocity. that we have a true trusting in love and in life, and we're able to move together more in harmony and treat each other with honor and respect, not with control and disrespect and dishonor and disconnection and a lack of source, a lack of resource. So we have an opportunity, or we're laying the foundations right now for love to be born. That's what's actually happening in this structure that wants to be built through your aligned actions. So some tips for this month and how to get out of that avoidant loop and really get into the responsibility. Just powerfully choose, something that you have been avoiding and choose to close it, choose to look at it, choose to move towards it. Notice where you might be compromising what you want and choose to hold your standards. Choose to anchor into your worth. Choose to align with what is your highest, what is your truth. So you stop compromising and you come back to alignment. And if you notice that you have been holding back your expression somewhere, so refraining from saying something out of a fear of rejection or a fear of disconnection or whatever it is, or a fear of shame, like being shamed or being embarrassed, you choose to express yourself. You check in with what is your truth and what is your expression in your authentic true self, in your true nature, and you choose to express it rather than hold it. So this is my challenge or my invitation for you this month, if you really want to work with this energy, to consciously choose alignment, to consciously collapse things that are out of alignment, and to consciously express your truth. These are 3 things that will really help you through this month. So I hope you find this helpful. I would love to know what you're moving through. If you feel to share in the comments, please subscribe, share this if you find it resonant, helpful, useful. And yeah, would love to feel what you're moving through as you're moving through it and what resonates. And please take what resonates, leave the rest. I love you. Have a beautiful June, and we'll see you next month.